Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. The spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your #1 unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brian here, as always, with Rob and Ashley. We got Talladega to talk about. Ashley's got all sorts of Boulevard stories to tell us. So, folks, how we doing this week?
Well, I'm hydrated, and I'm not sunburned, and I feel pretty good. How about you, Truelove?
I'm the complete opposite of all those things that you just listed.
I can't wait to hear about it.
My body took an absolute beating.
Well, I mean, we might as well just start off with that then, because, there's not a ton to talk about with the racing stuff. So,
no.
When did you get to the track, Truelove? Let's start there.
So me and my brother left Thursday morning, and we drove to the Atlanta airport to pick up our buddy Mike, who flew in from Baltimore. He's been on the show before.
That's right. Yeah.
Then we headed towards Alabama. Made a quick stop at a Love's truck stop along the way. And while me and Mike are inside buying extra beer, the Bowman and Elliott haulers pull in to fuel up. So that was a pretty cool way to kick off the trip. Seemed fitting.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I got back on the road, past one of the newly wrapped World of Outlaws Real American Beer trailers on the highway.
They are pretty.
It was a nice wrap, despite the product. Got to the track round 2. So our buddy Steve, who brought the RV, had driven in from Texas over the course of like a week, kind of slowly making his way there. So he got in the day before and got all set up and had it all ready to go for us. So
nice. By the way, shout out to Steve, fucking awesome guy. We've seen him at the Chili Bowl a couple times, and he's a great dude.
Yeah, all around top tier dog, for sure. Got sniffed by the drug dogs at the entrance, and then they let us in. So yeah, the campsite that Steve got, he bought it early to really get in there and make sure he got one. But he just kind of went in blind and like picked, having no idea what he was doing. Yeah. And the campsite ended up being nudged right up against Talladega Boulevard. Like,
oh shit!
Sitting outside the RV, we can see Talladega Boulevard about 15 feet away. So
perfect. It
was a quick 30-second walk to go around the fence anytime we wanted to make a lap, and we made a lot of laps throughout the weekend. But yeah, so we were kind of on the calmer end of the boulevard, I'd say, because the other end of the boulevard is where like Cletus and Biffle were set up, and like Chili's, and yeah. So
I saw that Greg Biffle did retweet your photo of the campers, which was cool.
He did, yeah. So that first lap that we went down the boulevard, got to the end. Can't miss their RVs because they're spray painted all to hell, like flames and honk for daddy and, American flags. And as soon as we walk up on it, I spot Greg Biffle immediately standing out front in his sleeveless tee, lotioning up. So that was my first introduction to the Boulevard, was watching.
I saw him wearing his own shirt all weekend, which that's always a good move, is to wear your own shirt.
I like that too, yeah. So quite the opposite of you watching Casey Kane spray himself down with compressed air, right?
Very opposite. Did not have the same effect on me. But it was just him and some decrepitly old man who was drinking straight out of a bottle of Jack Daniels. So, yeah, I guess he retweeted that photo, or not tweet. I don't tweet.
Instagram or whatever.
Instagram. And I had no idea. And then I started getting like 30 new random ass followers. I was like, what is happening?
He gone viral and it's only Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. Let's see.
Well, there was no racing on Thursday, so did you guys get anything other than just kind of hanging out and relaxing, preparing for the weekend?
Yeah, Thursday we just kind of did some laps, like just kind of get the lay of the land. But they had only opened up the infield on Wednesday, so people were still kind of trickling in and getting set up. So it wasn't
Gotcha. That was my next question, was just how packed it was that early, because I imagine it ramps up over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday are the prime days.
Yeah.
But yeah, walking down the boulevard, ran into like a old station wagon that was painted up like the Ricky Bobby Wonder Bread scheme, and had a giant silver sprint car wing on the top of it. And there's a old green like 70s Cadillac that cruises up and down the boulevard all day with a giant American flagpole in the back of it. Another one of the first things we saw when we got on the boulevard that Thursday was an old yellow school bus that they had spray painted like "fuck Kyle Busch" on it a couple times, but the guy was actively cutting a giant hole out of the side of it with a massive saw, like sparks flying.
Did you ever walk by there again to see why?
Yeah. Well, we walked by it a ton that weekend. Yeah, they basically cut out half of the side out of it. But the funny thing was, it was packed full of shit. So it was like, you still have to drive this bus back home, and it's packed full of shit. Now, how are you going to keep it from spilling out all over the interstate? But there's another story about that for later in the weekend. Yeah, I think later on they spray painted some hole references around it.
As you should.
As you should. Let's see.
Oh, some hole references. Like Courtney Love lyrics.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is the male to female ratio in the Talladega infield is massively skewed.
No,
I mean, come on.
What?
Yeah. So even me walking all weekend, I had Mike and Steve and my brother with me. And, Mike and Steve were both married, but they're like being protective dogs. And I felt like I was like in this cocoon with them. And like, even though I'm not with any of them, it seems like if you see a female with any males, you would maybe just assume that maybe she's dating one of them.
Sure.
But guys on the boulevard don't care. They just all weekend long screaming at you, show your tits, let's see your tits, free shots, dump them out. Like, it was so aggressive all weekend. Like, they'll lure you over to their little bar set up and like, hey, I got these free drinks for you. Just come on over here and follow me. And you're already like sketched out. You're like, I don't want to drink anything that this creep hands me. And they're like, start to hand it to you, and they're like, well, you got to dump your tits out first. I'm like, all right, we keep that shitty ass free shot that I didn't want anyway.
Like a reverse New Orleans.
Yeah. So just straight out of the gate, I was like, it is Thursday, the sun is still up, and I've already had several old men demand.
Jesus Christ.
So it was a lot.
So no free shots for Truelove.
No free shots for me. Let's see. Yeah, so the boulevard, the way I can't remember how long it is. It's a pretty hardy walk. And everyone that's on there, like, I don't know how much those spots go for, but they've got elaborate setups.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people who build these like big elaborate bars too, like full bars, but you can't sell alcohol on the Boulevard, but you can give it away for free. So most of these bars are like, you know, it's free drinks for tips. So
yeah.
I'm sure they make an absolute shit ton of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All weekend. There was this one guy, however, who had, it was just a small canopy tent and a small fold-out table, and he was a big, hardy man sitting behind the table all weekend long, and there was nothing on top of this table except every single flavor of Sugarland moonshine that you could ever imagine.
He did the tour in Gatlinburg and brought them all home.
Yes. So he was like trying to lure girls over to the table all weekend, and like eventually he had this like young kid like kind of working for him, trying to lure people over, and he would like hold up an iPad that said anything you want for $5, which we didn't visit that table. We didn't talk to that man, but
he didn't want to test what the limits of anything were with that guy.
No, definitely no. Some sugary ass Sugarlands shine either.
Yeah,
shit's an instant hangover.
Yes, it is.
Lots of like there was a poster of two women in bikinis, and they had put like Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jr.'s faces on them.
Classic.
Lots of blow-up dolls everywhere.
Classic, yeah.
Stripper poles, stripper platforms, the wood cutout of like different boob shapes where you're supposed to walk up and put your boobs in whatever ones yours fit in. There's like kids with like tally marks on their arm and Sharpie of how many tits they'd seen that weekend.
Jesus.
Yeah. There's the one guy who I guess he's been around forever, but also again a single canopy tent and a fold-out pop-up table and a very large girthy man who sits behind that table all weekend long, shirtless, sunburned as fuck, with a square sign on his head that says Kyle Busch is a douchebag, a giant chain around his neck that says Kyle Busch is a douchebag. He's got a banner in front of the table, same thing. Flags behind him, same thing. He's selling merch. He sat there all weekend long. I don't think he ever moved from that seat. Just committed to spreading the message.
A true zealot for truth.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? Talked about Biffle's arms.
I saw that Mike made it on the NASCAR or Talladega's Instagram. Was that Thursday?
He did that. That was Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
Don't mean to jump ahead.
Sorry, Thursday was a lot. Man, where am I in this list?
So this wasn't your first time on the Boulevard, though, right? This is
my first time to Talladega was 2019, and we went to the Boulevard then too. But that was just like Saturday night.
Yeah, take a breeze. Yeah, breeze through.
Yeah, this wasn't 4 days of living in it. There was another, like, the Boulevard's its own thing, but there was another place we found down another road. Down at the end of it, it was this group called Dega Nation, who I think it's like kind of like a Facebook group, and like the people who are in it like pay dues, and then they go to Talladega and they like all kind of camp together, and like their dues pay for like food and drinks, and
that's cool.
The performers and stuff, and anyone can come hang out, but like only the members can, partake in certain things. So we hung out there a good bit because it was real good people watching, because those people were old and drunk. So they had like a trailer too with a big platform built on top of it that you could go up there and kind of get a overall scope of things. And
you got up there?
Me and my brother went up there one time just to kind of check it out from above. It was the only thing about that is just a super sketchy ladder to get up and down. So really it would have been great to just prop up there for a couple hours late at night and watch people try to get up and down that thing.
Now, when you're in the middle of this infield, and I ask this because you got the view from above, like, do you forget that you're in the center of a racetrack?
Yes, because when you're in the middle of Talladega, there's so many thousands and thousands and thousands of campers in there that you can't see out of what's directly in front of you. Like, you can't see the track, or you can, kind of see the top of the grandstands, but you can't, like, see across the horizon or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Thursday, I think after that, we kind of went back to the RV, got some food. I feel like we did another lap back to Dega Nation later that night. Just watched a very large man dance and squeak around on a golf cart.
Nice.
For a while, and then called it quits. So it's a good first night, just kind of getting the lay of the land.
Right.
So, and it was Friday.
Day two.
Day two, and I'm already fucking tired. Friday we woke up early because going into this trip, me and my brother couldn't stop talking about how bad we wanted to make Spam and egg and cheese sandwiches in honor of a la Andy Newsom to, kick things off. And those were great. Every time we had them, they were great. I brought a bottle of High Rock along so I can make Bloody Marys in the morning.
Good call.
Yep. So fixed a Bloody Mary and walked over to watch the Hauler Parade at 11 a.m., which was right next to our campsite. So that's when the social media lady, Jerry Punch's daughter, whatever her name is.
Oh, it was Jessie Punch, yeah.
Yeah. We were kind of standing there in a row waiting for the haulers. And I had my Bloody Mary in my hand. And I saw that she spotted us, and I was like, oh, God, not now. Not now.
Gotta get the drink in first, at least.
I was like, God, it's first thing in the morning. I've barely taken 2 sips of this. And she walks up, and she's like, oh, hey, guys, I like your style. Like, doing some social media stuff. I was just wondering if I can ask you a couple questions. And she was kind of talking to me, and I was like, yeah, why don't you start on that end down there first? So she goes to Mike, and her first question was, what sound do the race cars make? And he's like, what? God. So he didn't want to do it because no one wants to make race car sounds.
I just would have been like,
first thing in the morning.
I'm not answering this.
I disagree. I would make the race car noises, but...
Yeah, well, Steve made them. Steve was the trooper and made the race car noises because no one else, my brother didn't, and I damn sure didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, I can back you up on the fact that when those folks approach you, it is an ambush. It's very quick and
awkward, and the whole thing is awkward.
And it's done in like 15 seconds, and you don't even know what happened when it's finished.
Yep, and then whatever they captured is...
That's it.
That's it.
That's your 15 minutes.
For all eternity. She also went down the line and said, can you tell me how you pronounce the name of this place? I don't know what answer she was looking for, but we all said Talladega, except for my brother. He said Dega because he figured that's what she wanted to hear. We never saw any of that footage, so...
Yeah.
I'm not sure what she was hoping for. And then she scurried off, and we were standing there.
They needed a compilation of just dummies saying Dega to make a Cletus clip or whatever.
Well, to be fair, that is the accent for a lot of people down there. You're just not getting it out of folks that aren't from Alabama so much.
Or sober 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to watch some damn haulers drive by a lady.
So let me ask you, how far into the Bloody Mary did you get in that 15-second interaction?
I don't know. I feel like I had a straw, so I was sucking it down. But then the heartburn kicks in, and you're like, oh, God, too much tomato. Yeah, watched the hauler parade. And then after that, we went to grab our credentials real quick. And then since there was nothing really going on Friday except ARCA practice and Xfinity qualifying, we decided we were going to go to the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, which is right there in front of the track. I hadn't been before, so went over there. It was pretty crowded, which, you know.
Well, weren't they doing some Allison family thing that day?
Well, yeah, but we didn't know that until we
that makes sense.
got there. They had, like Red Farmer's car outside, Buddy Baker, and then the building itself is like a really cool mid-century modern, like frozen in time rotunda. Awesome. Yeah, that collection was pretty insane. Like, I always, for whatever reason, thought that museum was going to be like just kind of podunk and like, oh, here's a quick little museum next to the track, and to get people's $15, and then that would see a couple cars, and that would be it. But there's
that's been around since the 80s. Like it's long before like the NASCAR Hall of Fame or any of those other ones. Like it's been there, so it kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, the pictures you were sending, I didn't know half that stuff was in there.
Yeah, I didn't. Some of that stuff in there blew my mind that it still existed, that it was just sitting out in front of Talladega this whole time. Like, obviously it was, pretty Alabama gang heavy, which is, to be expected.
Yeah.
But they had some of Gene Hackman's race cars lined up out there. He had like a Volkswagen that was sponsored by Playboy that was in there.
That's awesome. Dale
Earnhardt's motor coach from 1994 is sitting out there that you can walk through, which was pretty cool. The black is, the outside is black, of course, but then you go inside and it is fully Teresa out in there, like,
yeah.
quintessential 90s, like turquoise carpet.
Yeah, teals
yeah, teal. There was like ostrich skin leather seats and white leather couches and like, crystal glassware and a really nice, shower bathroom combo, except the weird part was there was no separation between the bathroom and the bedroom. It was just all one big room. It's kind of weird, but that was neat that still exists and was there. They had Fireball Roberts, Jody Ridley, Bobby Isaac, Rob Moroso. The Ron Bouchard car that won the closest finish in Cup history is there.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Harry Gant's final ride. Daryl Waltrip's car, Bertha.
The photo y'all sent me of Richie Evans' Super Speedway Modified was definitely... I have to go see that. If I'm going to Talladega, the probably close to the top of the list is just to see that car in person.
Yeah, that museum is really worth a trip. I definitely want to go back soon, just on a non-race weekend to kind of take more time. But let's see what else. I don't know. There's a whole big list. Y'all can just go to the museum and check it out. But the most insane thing about that museum is the room that you walk into and you're not expecting it, and it's just the room of wreckage. It's got Ricky Craven's Talladega wrecked car.
No
Neil
shit.
Neil Bonnet's Talladega 93 wrecked car. Michael Waltrip's Bristol car from 1990. and Mike Harmon's Bristol car from 2002, just all sitting next to each other in a circle, basically just absolute chaos.
Incredible.
It's so insane to see those cars up close like that.
Yeah, I had no idea that those were there. That's amazing.
Yeah. Just all sitting in a nice little chaotic circle.
It's a portrait of you after a few days in the on the Boulevard.
Yeah. So that was probably the craziest part. Also, former star of the show, the racing grandma.
Yes, that's right.
Mom's toy drag car was in there, which really caught me off guard. I guess she's from Alabama, so that made sense. But
yeah, when you texted us about that, like in the picture, I was like, I remember this from somewhere, but I don't know what the fuck that is. And then it finally came to me that we'd actually talked about it on the show.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we walked into one of the rooms, and there was Donnie Allison and Red Farmer standing around hanging out. But that room was packed. There were so many people in there trying to talk to them, and there was a ton of other old guys in there. We briefly talked to one of the random old guys, and I think he had mentioned something about it being like a Alabama racers reunion type deal. So they were going to have a private event.
Well, they're the last two surviving members of the Alabama gang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Hut Strickland, too.
Yeah, Hut Strickland, yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah, really too much to list in that museum. It's 100% worth the trip. After that, we left. Mike bought some boiled peanuts in the parking lot. His first time ever having boiled peanuts.
What do you think?
He did not like them, but it's because he bought them from just like a pop-up tent in a parking lot. To get true boiled peanuts, you need to buy them from an old man set up on the side of the road that's boiling them in a gigantic drum container for days on end. You don't know how old that juice is in there.
Yeah.
Like,
I had never even seen boiled peanuts until I moved to Florida, and I tried them once, and I was like, nope. I love peanut anything, but no thank you.
Yeah, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, we're just buying them from the wrong place.
Like Truelove said, yeah, it's the purveyor, not the product.
Yeah. Well, the name of the tent that he bought them from was called Reba's Wiener Wagon, so... Reba should just stick to
with
the
a name
wieners.
like that, you would think they'd be good.
Well...
Yeah, that's forgivable, I think.
I trust Reba with a wiener, but not the nuts. Went across the street to the Gypsy tent since they were right there, but they're trash. They're so fucking terrible there. Like,
Really?
yes, Talladega Gypsy tents are the worst that I have ever encountered, to be honest.
No shit.
Every single tent is the exact same bullshit. There's not even like one cool tent with older stuff in it. It's
all Dale Jr.
trash.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah, though I did spot a man at the Gypsy tents who was missing his left arm. He had a hook arm, and his hook arm was wrapped in like Chase Elliott graphics, so that's pretty cool.
Another omen.
Yep. Yeah, after that we went back to the RV, and what's today? Friday?
We're on Friday right now. Not a single car on the racetrack yet.
No, they haven't had any cars yet. Walked down the Boulevard. We made our first trip to Chili's. They finally had it all set up on Friday, so they had a host of our show car out there and this big covered area where they had the bar set up. And a host of ours just kind of standing around mingling. I think he's supposed to be doing some social media shit. he's drinking out of a big Chili's cup, but you could tell it was just water, which was unfortunate.
Was not riding the Dente as advertised.
No, yeah. But all weekend long, they were just handing out free shots of whatever that shit is. The Dente mixed with margarita mix or whatever.
Nice.
So I think over the weekend total I had 1, 2, 3, 4.
You got it tallied out. Are you checking your arm?
4 or 5. It comes in a little red plastic Chili's shot glass with a little logo on it that you got to keep too. So we had a big stack of those at the RV by the end of the week.
Now, was this when the mechanical bull came into play, or was that later on?
Yes. So they had a big, inflatable mechanical bull thing set up, except it wasn't a bull. It was a margarita shaker that you rode.
Yeah.
And we talked Steve into riding it, bless his heart. So he rode the Dente for real and got a free T-shirt out of it. So
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was a cool little setup. You could really go up there and get as many free samples as you wanted. They didn't care. Sometimes they would just be like, "Here, take 2 so I can get rid of them." So
Yeah. God bless him.
God bless them. Butterbean was kind of hanging out too. I'm not sure what he was doing besides
Riding the Dente. Yeah.
riding the Dente. Pretty sure he's supposed to be in ARC practice, but I know.
Well, what are you going to learn out there?
Yeah, that's true. We found a little fan viewing area in turn 2. It's like a big grassy field. So we caught a few minutes of ARCA practice, and that we were like, this is bullshit. So we left, walked by Dega Nation. They were having some kind of live auction, raffling off some fucking die casts that no one cared about. Then we went to the Zen tent. I made my first ever journey through the Zen tent.
Nice.
Because Mike wanted to stock up on a bunch of Zens for his co-workers to take back home. So I lied to the man who asked me if I was a tobacco user. And
they'll turn your ass right away if you say no.
Will they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I seen it happen right in front of me.
I'm not surprised to hear that, but I was always curious what would happen if I said no.
Well, I lied to him, and then I went inside and lied to that girl too. I felt bad because she was really kind, but the questions they ask, I was like, Jesus Christ. She's like, well, what kind of tobacco do you use? And my mind went blank because I've never used tobacco. She starts just like rattling off stuff, and whatever the last thing she said was, I was like,
just
oh
said
yeah,
Red
that.
Man.
Cigarettes.
Red Man.
Cigarettes is the number one.
Well, I think the last thing she said was vape. I was like, oh yeah, that. And she was like, oh, cool. Well, what flavors do you usually like? I was like, oh, fuck, I don't know, flavors? And I looked down at the little Zen chart in front of me and just kind of pulled something off there.
Cinnamon.
And then she starts giving me the whole spiel about how to use Zens and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, God. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh, great, there's options. There's 3s, there's 6s, there's about 10 flavors. And Mike didn't tell us what he wanted us to get at all. So I was like, I'm just winging it over here. So I was like, oh, I'll just get 6s. That sounds good. And picked a random flavor.
Nice.
And then we all went outside to hand them to him. And he was like, oh, God, everyone got 6s. He was like, I just wanted 3s. He's like, I don't think, he's like, these are going to kill my coworkers. I was like, well, too bad.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Ride the Dente, bitch.
Also, while I was inside the Zen tent lying to this girl, asking me a million questions, some other random guy that worked in the Zen tent comes up to me and looks at the girl and goes, do you know who this is? And she was like, and she looked at him all funny. He's like, I follow her on Instagram. She's like a big NASCAR social media influencer. I was like, this experience could not get any worse for me right now. Please. stop. And I'm looking at the girl like, I don't know what he's talking about. I've never influenced anyone.
Yeah. I just want to go hit my fictional vape and get out of here.
I'm gonna make my cotton candy clouds and leave. Yeah. Yeah. Went back down the boulevard.
I wish I could have been there to see that shit.
It was just so chaotic. It was not. I will not be having another Zen 10 experience.
You know what's funny is if you do go back in there, they're going to remember exactly what you purchased, and they're going to try and give you the exact same thing again. So at least you don't have to have the conversation again.
I don't.
Less choices.
I can't say I've had that experience.
Really, it happened to me at Darlington, and I was shocked. Like they're like, "Yeah, menthol 6s again," and I'm just like, "Excuse me."
The fuck did you just say?
Yeah, but yes, that is correct. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to experience something that Brian and I are all too familiar with.
I did get to experience it. I did not try a Zen.
Oh.
Didn't have that desire, but yeah. So yeah, went back down the boulevard after that. I noticed a new display had popped up. There was a big sign outside that said, "We'll trade amazing grandpa hugs for bare breast." And it was just an old man sitting behind the flag. But he didn't look like a wholesome grandpa. He just kind of looked like someone my dad's age that just left the golf course or something. I was like, ugh, gross. So, let's see. After that, we decided to make our first trip to the garage for Xfinity qualifying. So Steve was awesome enough to surprise us all with hot passes for the weekend. So went down to the garage, and we weren't sure if the hot passes would just get us in the garage or if we could use those to also get into the Big Bill's experience that they have in the infield.
Oh, that like big garage bar thing. Yeah.
And luckily it did, because that Big Bill's ended up being amazing and so key all weekend to kind of making it through the weekend.
So what is it, just like a big hospitality area?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like they have, Victory Lane that people can stand in, and they have a massive TV screen in the outdoor area, and just like tons of like, lounge chairs and tables and benches and like a kids playground area and like, other adult games set up. And then cool. The big building part is kind of like an open air thing, just also slap full of couches, tables, all that stuff. Nice. And then the cup garages are going down both sides of it, so it's open into them, so you can, watch them work on the cars and...
That's cool.
See the drivers or whatever.
So it's a nice reprieve from wartime conditions out on the boulevard.
Yeah, for sure. The best part about that experience, though, is like I don't know how much people pay to get into it, because we were very fortunate to not have to pay for it. But once you're in it, the beer is only $4. Hot dogs are $2.
Oh, that's awesome.
Chicken tenders and fries, $6. Like, everything is super cheap in there. Like, because out in the grandstands, beer is $9. Chicken tenders are $16. So
yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, there's no lines either. Like, everything moves super quick. So grabbing $2 hot dogs and $4 beers.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, passing through there was great all weekend. Let's see. So yeah, just check that out. Watch Xfinity qualifying from there. I don't even remember who won the poll. So
it was Jesse Love.
Yeah. Then it started raining, so we were very far from the RV, and we're like, oh, it's just sprinkling. We'll just huff it back to the RV, and about halfway through, the fucking bottom dropped out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, we get back to the RV. The wind is chaotic. It's blowing over all the shit. Everything's soaked. And the radar was like, oh, it'll pass over soon. And it went on for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, so we were just kind of trapped there for a while waiting for it to pass. You know, the dirt race on Friday got rained out. And there was supposed to be a driver parade down the boulevard, and it got rained out. So,
Bummer.
Yeah. They ended up having a fireworks show at 9 o'clock, though, to try to make up for it. But, man, I'm tired already.
How many miles have you walked at that point? Are you sure? Do you know?
I'm not sure about by now, but I know over the course of the 4 days I was there, I walked somewhere between 22 and 26 miles, according to my phone.
That's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's a bad time for a marathon, but still impressive nonetheless in cowboy boots.
All in cowboy boots up to this point.
Oh, masochist.
It's all my feet know. They don't know any better. After the rain let up, I think everyone was kind of feeling, pin up. So went back out on the boulevard. The stripper poles were really popping off on Friday night. Dega Nation had live bands playing. There was this one big, tall platform that was on the boulevard that I watched these like two older men spend like a full day like building and putting this thing together and getting it perfect, getting the sound set up on it, and just like putting so much work into it in the hopes that, women would get up there and like, dance and probably take their shirts off or whatever. And the first time I walked by it when it was in operation, there was 3 guys on top of it.
I was just going to say, I bet it was dudes, wasn't it?
It was dudes up there doing their best stripper moves. There was a guy dressed as Ricky Bobby, like twerking his ass off. It made me very uncomfortable at how good these 3 dudes were at their stripper moves. So I felt bad for the old guys that built that, but not really.
Well, you attract what you attract down there on the boulevard.
Yeah. Also, by this point, the guy at the Sugarland table had attracted strippers, so he had 3 strippers dancing in front of all his bright blue colored moonshine.
Actual like women strippers or more dudes?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't, anything to write home about, but they were.
Yeah, they were women.
They were ladies. It was about this point that I saw Noah Gregson fly by on a bicycle and a cowboy hat. Never saw him again. He kind of disappeared off into the abyss. Steve had been talking all weekend so far about how he wanted a Jaeger shot. You gotta find a Jaeger shot. I need a Jaeger shot. We're like, oh God. So I was like, all right, let's find you a Jaeger shot. So this one bar called Tip Jar Bar had Jaeger, and he talked me and Mike into going with him, and he buys 3 shots of Jaeger, and then Mike's like, I'm not drinking that shit. So it was just me and Steve had to take 2, bless his heart.
Nice. You couldn't split
But while
it?
we're standing, no, God, no, I didn't even want to take the one I had. I haven't done Jaeger in probably close to 20 years.
Oh, wow. It's good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's not.
I'm in agreement with you there.
Yeah. While me and Steve were waiting in line for this Jaeger, I noticed that standing behind the bar is Garrett Smithley, famed Xfinity driver.
No shit.
Yeah. He is drunk. There is a girl with him who I couldn't tell if it was his girlfriend or someone that wanted desperately to be his girlfriend. She was absolutely fucking shit-faced. And there was an older gentleman with I think he had a goatee, who was big and tan and shirtless, and he had his arm around Garrett and was just hugged all up on him. And I also noticed this man was covered in like Sharpie writing. I don't know what it said. So I was like, oh, okay, there's Garrett shithoused. And then we get our Jaeger shots and turn around, and then Garrett is somehow behind us, standing in the boulevard, and there is a man bent over with his ass out, and that old shirtless guy is putting a piece of tape over his ass and then signing it. And Garrett Smithley is standing right next to this guy's ass, like all up in it. So,
Oh. Okay.
that was that. That was my Garrett Smithley experience. I checked the lineup. He wasn't racing that weekend. Luckily.
Yeah, did not qualify.
No.
You've named this episode like 4 times, by the way. It's gonna be tough to figure out what this one's gonna be called.
Well.
The Garrett Smithley experience.
Walked past a new game that was set up. It was set up like a Plinko game where you climb the ladder and drop the chip, and whatever slot it lands in, you either win a shot, win 2 shots, have to show your boobs, or have to show your butthole. So I didn't play that one either.
No, the stakes are too high.
Yeah.
Tits are one thing, but buttholes, that's a bridge too far.
Big butthole obsession on the boulevard. We got to, it was like a Mardi Gras themed bar. There was a guy standing on top of a truck, shithoused by himself, like throwing beads at people, but he was like pitching them at people like he was a professional baseball player. So not ideal.
Just a whoever?
Yep.
Oh.
Didn't even have to show your boobs. You just throw beads.
Handed them out. I got these beads. I gotta get rid of them.
At your face. Yeah.
Incredible.
Another thing about the Boulevard is it is a nonstop competition to see who has the loudest speakers.
Yeah.
So you walk 10 feet, there's some asshole set up with giant speakers just blasting them all the way. Walk another 10 feet, there's another guy, and it's like, how do they party around that? Like, you can't hear anyone. You can't enjoy it at all. There's like 3 different songs blasting in a,
You gotta be sitting directly in front of it. That's the only way it works.
Well,
the only reason I own a party speaker is because we go camp at Loudon, and I just want to listen to Crowbar sometimes. And you have to have one that keeps up with the neighbors if you're going to even listen. It's miserable.
You would fit right in.
I'm not helping the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my Friday.
Still not a lap of racing turned yet. Just
practice. Well, there was some qualifying and some practice. But, oh Lord. So
Saturday. You wake up in the recliner. You fix yourself a Bloody Mary.
Oh yeah, so this whole weekend also I'm sleeping in a recliner on the RV. Which, probably great for naps, not so much for full nights of rest, but...
Did you actually get full nights of sleep?
I did that night because I drank enough, so...
Gotcha. Yeah.
Drinking enough was the key. Trying to sleep in them sober was not going to happen. So.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So Saturday, Cup qualifying was going to be at 9:30 in the morning. And we were all like, none of us are going to be up for that shit. That's way too early. Then you hear the jet gyres going at 7 a.m.
So you are going to be up.
So everyone's up. And we all managed to get ready. So we're like, well, fuck it. We're awake. We might as well go to the garage since we have these passes and watch Cup qualifying.
Yeah, go take a shower in Big Bill's.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we walked
Could you do that?
I don't think they had showers at Big Bill's. But they didn't have showers available in field.
It's not Buc-ee's.
No. Unless I just didn't go down the right hallway or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we stood on pit road to watch qualifying for a little bit. Saw Pop hanging out with Dave Marcus from afar.
That's cool.
Watched a few runs. I really just wanted to stand there long enough to see Chase go because he was coming up, and that Prime car is just as disappointing in person as I expected.
Yep.
Very mediocre, very hard to spot in the field all day because it was just so basic. But, after that, we walked over to Big Bill's. They had the garages obviously open for Cup qualifying. And so after a car would make their run, if they didn't make it in the top 10 or whatever, they would pull into their garage stall. And it was so wild to be in there. And a car would pull in on one side, you would see a flock of people sprinting across Big Bill's to get to that car stall first. Like, just children, adults, everyone. Darfing. There was people, grown-ass adults pulling full-size suitcases behind them full of, their little roller bags full of die-cast. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So that was embarrassing for them.
I love that might be the most embarrassing thing that you've mentioned so far over 2.5 days in the Boulevard in Talladega.
Adults with their carry-on suitcases
full of toys.
Yeah. We didn't care about any of that, so we sat down to eat, $2 hot dogs for breakfast and $4 Busch Lights. But I will say Chase Briscoe was in the stall nearest us eating our hot dogs, and he stood there and signed every single autograph until no one else bothered to come up to see him. So
that sounds right.
He stood there for a very long time.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Except for the fact that he's never eaten a hot dog before in his life. But
yeah. What would you rather have?
I'm sitting there eating a hot dog watching it.
Taunting him. What's worse, never having a hot dog or eating a hot dog like Chris Myers did from the center?
That's a tough one.
Well, I already feel like he kind of has a weird baby palate, so him not eating a hot dog is very strange.
Yeah, that'll be the poll question for this week. We haven't done one in a while, so we're going to ask you, the listener, Applebee's Nation, which one is worse, eating a hot dog from the center, which is just an abomination, or not eating them at all, or ever.
That's a tough one.
So sleep on that, folks. Yeah.
It was very full in there for Cup qualifying, and at the time, Logano was on top for the pole, and when Kyle Busch knocked him off the pole, that place erupted in cheers.
What a weird world we live in now.
It is very weird. But, Logano, no one likes Logano, so.
No.
After that, we went out to the fan zone. It was nothing to report there.
Yeah.
It was the fan zone. We've all seen it. Except for there was a trailer that said Joe Gibbs' game plan for life, God's team on it. I'm not sure what was going on in there. So
just giving away books.
Books.
He just all his books.
All those damn books.
So many books.
All right, so where are we at? Are we at the ARCA race yet, or no?
We're at the ARCA race. I didn't watch the ARCA race. We went back to the RV, and we needed to wait on sewage pump and water refill, so I watched Cletus's live feed on YouTube because that's all I could see. So
yeah, he ended up having a pretty good day. Got a top 10 even though he was down a cylinder, so good for him.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I'm trying to think. It wasn't that bad of an ARCA race from what I can remember.
It was an ARCA race.
Yeah, I mean, our pal Cody Dennison got a flat and hit the wall. What a shame. What a true tragedy.
Yeah, Andy Jankowiak was leading right at the end there, and I was very excited for that, to see another modified guy at the top of the charts. And that didn't work out for him all that well. I think he finished 4th at the end of the day. I don't know.
Don't ask me.
Sure.
It's not like I was there.
Who cares? But Lawless Allen actually won something, which shows you that you were actually at an ARCA race, because it's just unpredictable. So
yeah.
Well, That was the ARC race, I guess.
Cool. All right.
Yep.
Still have not seen one lap of racing this entire time.
Instead, while I was sitting there during the ARC race, I watched a man dressed as Sasquatch hanging out with John Hunter Nemechek as they decided to walk down the boulevard to pass out free beef jerky.
Nice.
And it was so funny because every single person was running up like, oh, holy shit, can I get your picture? Talking to the Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And no one recognized John Hunter. So that was great because no one likes that guy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But after this, we finally decided to gather up our little chairs and our coolers and to walk down to the fan viewing area coming out of turn 2. So we did watch the Xfinity race. Also walked by the Sugarland guy again, and 3 police officers were questioning him pretty hot and heavy. So, yeah, I did watch the Xfinity race
Nice.
from one spot in the grass.
I barely did.
Hey, I'm trying to think. I mean, I watched most of it from what I remember, and it was fine. I mean, definitely better than the Cup race. I'm trying to think. Oh well, I think the big thing that came out of it was the Almirola Catherine Legg incident, which
Well, we'll just call it the Aric Almirola incident.
it was,
because that was-
I mean, it's Aric Almirola's fault, 100%.
Yeah, she
and
was the victim.
I feel really bad for Catherine because she was actually having a good run. She was like in the top
13th.
15.
Yeah, she was doing really well.
She was doing really well. Speaking of
she
women
led
in
a lap.
racing, that was a
Just based off pits, but
yeah. Also, too, while we're speaking about women, Isabella Robusto finished
that's right.
third
Good for
in the
her.
ARCA race,
Yeah.
which
Nice.
good for her. I will say the shitty thing was afterwards, everybody saying, "Oh, it's female Sheldon Creed," which.
I mean,
Granted, she does kind of look like him, but also
that photo she does look like Sheldon Creed in that picture.
Also, the shittier thing is a lot of fans, accusing her of being a man and stuff, and it's like, fuck anybody who has that attitude. And it's not to get incredibly political here, but it's one of the things that if people are coming after trans people, this is part of that, is people accusing women who don't look feminine enough that they're men. And it's shitty, and it shouldn't happen, and it sucks for her. Good for her finishing third. She deserves all the credit she gets.
Yeah, I would say she's definitely, out of all the ladies coming up through the ranks, she's probably towards the top of the list. It's her.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
It's her and Jade Avedizian. I just hope
Yeah.
that she is able to capitalize off of her talent, because that doesn't seem to go very far. You want to talk about sexism in motorsports? Look who gets rides and who doesn't. It's money or it's being a model or whatever the fuck it is that gets you up there. I mean, Gracie Trotter won an ARCA race, and you haven't seen her since, so I don't know. Maybe there's more to that. I can't remember, but I hope Isabella gets a fair shake at this because she certainly has the talent to do so.
For sure.
And I think you're going to see a lot more of her, and Jade Avedizian for that matter. Those are my two Rob's gals going forward.
But back to the Xfinity race. So basically Aric Almirola, his spot. Apparently, what happened was his spotter told him he had a spot open to move up towards the wall, and there must have been a delay in communication or something because he decided to move up and took out Catherine Legg and took out a couple other people.
Well, what happened was his spotter told him, and he just didn't heed I know, but he didn't heed the warning. There wasn't a delay. He just didn't heed the warning until it was, about 3 hours later.
Yeah,
drifted up
so
there.
Just stupid and shitty, and Almirola yet again being a weapon on the track. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, immediately threw his spotter under the bus, which is silly. But.
Yeah, well, but yeah, fuck him. But yeah, after that, we got to get to the finish. So they're, we're shaping up to be a good battle between. I think it was Austin Hill and maybe Jesse Love, I think, and then Jeb Burton.
Zillage.
Zillage, that's right.
It was Jesse Love and Zillage at first.
And well, no. Didn't the Connor Zillage thing happen? That happened before because there was I'm talking about the final lap.
Yeah, well, like right before, yeah.
Yeah. Connor Zillage got essentially taken out by Jesse Love, who's like one of his best friends, and
that was a bad hit.
Yeah, it was a bad hit. It led to him hurting his back. We don't really know exactly what the injury is, but he's out of the car this weekend for Texas, and Kyle Larson's going to be taking his place. But yeah, this led to a green-white checkered finish, which got to the turn three basically, and there was a wreck behind them, and again, this NASCAR throwing the caution thing, like theoretically they could have easily run to the finish and they wouldn't have affected anybody on the backstretch. There was plenty of room for cars to slow down and whatnot, but they threw the caution going into turn 2 or turn 3, and the timing and scoring loops gave it to Austin Hill. Yeah. And the camera angles and stuff, there were not really any good camera angles that I saw of where the cars were on the track when they threw the caution, which led to...
Well, I think a lot of people were pissed about it because on television, I think the yellow indicator came on when Jeb Burton was clearly in the lead, which didn't match up with what was happening on the lights on the racetrack.
Yeah, but also the angle wasn't good, and this led to a very emotional post-race interview from Jeb Burton where he ended up crying at the end of it, which, dude, don't cry. Because just don't. I understand being frustrated. You're a not as successful driver as these other guys and whatnot, and it sucks to have this win taken away from you. Which who knows if he actually would have won or not, but he had a chance.
I think he would have. I mean, never in my life did I think I would be feeling bad for Jeb Burton.
Yeah.
In anything, and in this case, I was pretty gutted. I was excited to see him get a big underdog victory there because he ran up front all day, and those guys.
Well, it would have been his third victory there too at Talladega.
Yeah, he's good at Talladega. He's sort of the Ricky Stenhouse of the Xfinity series when it comes to plate racing.
But I feel like also, since I'm giving him shit for crying on TV because I did think that was a little lame. Not that I'm against men showing emotions or anything. I
just this particular one.
Just this particular one.
Just Jeb.
But I feel like I need to air out my theory here. So apparently, Ward Burton and The Undertaker, yes, the wrestler The Undertaker.
Oh, we're going
hunting
here.
Hunting buddies way back in the day. And listen, I know he's apparently Ward's kid. I don't know if I believe that, because when I look at Jeb, he looks so much more like a young Mark Calloway, which is The Undertaker's real name for those who don't know. He's got the same red hair that Mark had when he was younger. He doesn't look as much like Ward as he does like The Undertaker to me. And the dead man wouldn't cry on TV, so think about that next time, Undertaker. Or
Over here Googling young pictures of The Undertaker. Holy shit, that's...
I gotta do it.
Telling you.
Wow.
Young Undertaker.
That is fucking Jeb Burton's dad.
Yeah.
Holy
there we go.
Shit.
7 pictures
Holy
of
shit.
a young Undertaker fans have to see.
Yeah, before he was The Undertaker, he was just like a mean Mark Calloway, and you can see photos. He was full red hair before he became The Undertaker.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling
We're throwing
you.
that one up on the Instagram post.
Yep. So many to choose from, too.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You think you know somebody.
I'm glad to get that theory out there to the public, because I've been holding on to that for a minute.
I mean...
The pictures don't lie, folks.
It's certainly more plausible than the Titanic shit, I believe, so I'm seeing...
Anyways, so I guess...
How was the Xfinity race for you, Truelove?
I was sitting on a grass field getting sunburnt, drinking vodka and Celsius mixed together, and
Nice.
the whole last lap I was yelling, anyone but Jeb Burton, anyone but Jeb Burton, and then Austin Hill won. I was like, oh
got what
man,
you
why
wanted.
couldn't it have been Jeb Burton?
Careful what you wish for.
So I was very disappointed with that outcome. So we went to Chili's to drink away our sorrows.
Did they have any appetizers there for you, or was it just
No,
Dente?
just alcohol.
Nice.
Only alcohol.
Perfect.
Pretty hard to find food inside the infield, to be honest, unless you go to Big Bill's or your own camper.
Or Reba's fucking Wiener
Shack.
Wiener Shack.
That's outside the track.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tough luck.
Yeah. Got any other Xfinity notes?
No, that's
not really.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, this is the part where my Saturday starts to go downhill. So
Well, y'all were supposed to go to the World of Outlaws late models
we were
race.
supposed to, but we didn't. We didn't make it there.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Can you say why you didn't?
Yeah. Well, I'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't mention any names, but that's mostly because I was too drunk to remember.
Couldn't remember, maybe tried.
Yeah. So yeah, went to Chili's and then went back to the RV to cook up some burgers. So I'll say that Steve is good friends with all of the 48 crew. That's how he got us the hot passes. Like, you know, he knows Alex, but he also knows all of the guys from hanging out with Alex over the years. So
Yeah. That's actually how
so
I
they-
met Steve, too, was at the Chili Bowl. He was hanging out with ABR.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, so we were waiting for the 48 pit crew to come over after they finished up their duties pitting for Allgaier that day. So yeah, they came over to the campsite. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them to start out with. All super awesome dudes, like real laid back, real down to earth, like real easy, fun hang, like just sitting around drinking beers, eating burgers. So they do the big concert on Saturday night, and originally our plan was to go to the dirt track. We were like, oh, we'll go down the Boulevard, maybe hit up the concert for a minute just to see what that's like, and then head over to the dirt track. But we did not make it off the property. Because I think my downfall was right before we were like, oh, hey, let's go down to the Boulevard now. Steve lined up all of our little Chili's shot glasses and filled them with Jack Daniels. So that was the beginning of the end for Meemaw over here.
Yeah, that was the latch being closed on the door to leave the Speedway.
Yeah. So the guys had to get, changed out of their Hendrick gear because you can't go down that on the
For obvious reasons.
And so right before we went down the Boulevard, Steve was trying to explain to the guys, hey, just so you guys aren't like caught off guard or weirded out, like I just want y'all to know that the Boulevard is obsessed with buttholes. So you're going to see a lot of butthole talk and people are going to be shouting, show me your butthole a lot.
Listen, we've known this since like 6 years ago, since the Channel 5 video came out.
Well,
like,
yeah, but I don't think
everybody
these
knew
guys
that.
spent much time on the
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah.
partying in the infield. So we're walking down the Boulevard, and literally the first thing we get up to is a little spinny wheel where you spin it to try to win a free shot. So one of the guys in the crew walked up, spun the wheel, and it immediately landed on show your butthole.
Perfect.
Perfect timing. He did not. He ran away. Went down to the concert. The Boulevard walking down was funny with them though, because they were like little kids, like all over the place, like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening over here, and then like 5 feet later, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening over here.
Right.
So went to the concert. The guy that was performing, I had never heard his name before in my life until I Googled the concert like 2 weeks ago, so couldn't tell you a song by the dude or nothing, so I wasn't there to see him. I wasn't excited for that aspect.
You were just present.
I was just there for the party. The way they have the concert set up is like the general admission area, and then the front is like fenced off for like a VIP area for all the industry people, I guess.
Yeah.
And to get into that, you have to have a hard card. Well, the guys, half of them had left their hard cards after when they changed out their crew things. So we're half hard cardless, and then me and Steve and Mike and my brother don't have hard cards.
No.
And so we're trying to convince people who have hard cards inside to come out and get us. But we didn't have enough people to line up because each hard card can bring in one guest.
Oh.
And we had outnumbered them probably 3-1 or 4-1. So our drunken plan was to all form a human chain and hold hands and find a couple people with hard cards and just kind of bum rush, flash the hard cards and get in. And it somehow worked. We all got in, so.
Nice. I was going to say, that sounds pretty plausible.
It worked. The buddy system.
15 people
chain.
holding hands.
Yep. So.
Amazing.
Yeah. Once we were in there, we just kind of stood in the back and hung out, and whoever that dude was played some shitty cover songs, some pop country. I don't even know what he was playing. There was a giant hard rolly cooler full of beer for the 48 guys too, though, so that's
cool.
That was handy. I think this is where it gets real fuzzy for me, but I was told that there was some fights going on. There were some bloody people coming out of the crowd. The next day, Steve had asked me, he said, "Truelove, do you remember almost getting us all killed at the concert?" I was like, what? He was like, "Oh, you don't remember?" I was like, "No." He said, so apparently the singer, Justin Moore, got on his little microphone and was like, "I don't want to get political, but I just want to say that I am so happy that Donald Trump is the president of, America." And the crowd starts cheering, and Steve was like, "You start screaming, 'Boo! Fuck you!'"
That's my girl.
And Steve was like, "Truly, we're gonna get us killed. This is not the time or place." But I guess I felt slightly emboldened by the fence separating.
It is America, after all. It is. You're right.
It is America. It's fine. Yeah, no recollection of that. There were some, blurry pictures on my phone because at that point I didn't know how to operate it. The last photo that I took that night on my phone was Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon up on stage talking. I have zero recollection of that. That was at 10:30.
Oh.
Yeah.
They weren't even close to running the late model feature yet.
Yeah, 10:30. I guess after the concert, all we did was walk back down the boulevard to the RV, and by the time we got to the RV, I knew that I was done and just went straight to bed because the last text on my phone was at 12:30 to my boyfriend, and they were actually complete sentences spelled correctly, so...
No doubt some effort went into those.
Yeah.
I've been in that position before. Yeah.
It's just my memory was gone. So I woke up the next morning bright and early, so confused. Like, how did I get in this recliner? Where are all my things? What is happening? What happened? Holy shit. But I had my jammies on. I was all tucked in. I had my neat little pile of things there. Nothing looked array or missing, so I don't know.
Good job, Autopilot.
Yeah.
Be proud of yourself for that one.
Yeah. But Steve the next day was telling some stories. He said that him and the guys went back down the boulevard for a while and got a little crazy, I guess.
Saw some more buttholes.
Probably saw some buttholes. He said it was kind of like wrangling cats.
Yeah.
I think he said he ran into Kligerman at one of the bars, partying pretty good too, so.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, I guess you can
Just
do
in
that when there's
time.
nothing going on Saturday and hardly anything going on Sunday.
So yeah, Woke up good and hungover for the big day on Sunday.
Well, I guess that can lead us into the actual racing, I suppose. And there wasn't a whole lot to talk about, to be honest, yet again. So started watching the race, and, I knew what I was in for as far as, just a 3-4 wide parade for a while. And we got that for the start. And I'm looking at Facebook, as I do, bored watching races, and I found somebody on the other side of town with a bunch of cheap NASCAR jackets, so I immediately got in the car and went and bought them. But of course, in the midst of me going to do that, that's when like a couple of the only things that happened all day, like the insane move by Brad Keselowski to try to like cut across traffic to get into the pits and took out Kyle Busch and took out Ryan Blaney. Which Blaney didn't even look like he got hit that hard, but I guess it fucked up his rear suspension.
Broadsided him, and he went to the grass and bounced a little bit.
And Kyle Busch continued on, although he had just a very complicated day. He ended up getting back up to the top 10 at one point, but then that last pit stop.
Is that what happened? Brad was trying to get to the pits? I just thought he checked up because everyone in front of him slowed up before him. I think he fucked up for sure. But
it was a confusing thing. But basically, I guess timing was off and he didn't realize where he was, or who the hell knows what happened. Again, I was driving, so I didn't really see it.
Checking his GPS on the screen.
Yeah. So, but Kyle Busch, he ended up working his way back up, but then the last pit stop, he got a speeding penalty and ended up finishing like 29th or whatever. But then after the restart from the 3-car wreck, that's when they weren't even up to speed yet, and I guess Denny hit Christopher Bell or something. Is that what happened exactly? I can't even remember, but
he was just giving them a push, and they got kind of out of whack.
Yeah, that's it.
But they weren't even up to speed yet, so it caught him off guard.
Yeah, Denny explained it. He said like when the cars aren't up to speed, it's like it's a little bit iffier pushing them, I guess, or something like that. I don't know.
Well, they're not slammed to the ground when they're going slower.
Yeah. So that's what happened there, and Bell took a pretty hard hit, but thankfully, unlike Connor, he seemed to be fine. So, and that took out Chris Buescher as well. So 2 out of the 3 RFK cars were gone. And Priest was kind of back and forth. I mean, he started on the front row, but he ended up in the middle of the pack most of the race, and I didn't even expect him to get back up front towards the end, but there he was. Obviously, I'm sure by now we've all heard about the Joey Logano, Austin Cindric stuff at the end of stage 2.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is. I mean, they seem to have kind of worked it out. Both of them are very coy about what was said in the Monday morning meeting, but
Roger's gonna make him do 2 extra episodes of Penske games for Instagram. For penance.
I miss Penske games.
Do you?
Maybe. I guess the other funny and random thing that came out of that exchange was baseball legend Chipper Jones being really pissed off at Joey Logano and just shitting on him all night.
Hell
and like laughing at Joey when laughing at Joey when he got disqualified later on that night.
That was funny.
So that was good. And then there was no big one, which I'm sure some people were disappointed by. I personally wasn't. I was far more disappointed with the fact that nothing happened on the last couple laps aside from way too many commercials, which again, we didn't miss anything, but to have like 2 commercial breaks in the last 10 or 15 laps is ridiculous.
Yeah, I was at Stafford all day, and I would kind of check in once in a while, and I checked in with about 10 laps to go, and they were side by side. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I know these laps are like 4 minutes apiece. It takes them forever. But still.
It does. Especially in person. You're like, holy shit, are y'all ever going to get back around here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly was expecting a big wreck at the end because you had 2 Fords from 2 separate teams, and then you had 2 Hendrick cars, and then Logano behind Larson. So I figured maybe somebody would try to jump out of line and get with their teammate and make some move, but nobody did anything.
But
and
you need more than 2 cars to do it, though, unless the field breaks apart. So
yeah, that's the thing is, and that's why that those types of moves haven't been happening with this car because there's too much drag and nobody can do anything if you jump out of line. So
yeah, it was kind of a perfect storm for that because you had two Fords up front. It was Ryan Preece and Austin Cindric, with two Hendrick cars behind them. You know, Kyle Larson, you know, he has enough Vietnam flashbacks anytime he's up front in a cup race because he thinks something's going to happen. And he's trying to get points, I'm sure, because he's probably not going to make the Coke 600 in time, and he's going to lose all of his. Well, I guess it wouldn't matter if he lost his stage points, but you know what I mean. They're trying to farm points, and Byron's trying to farm points, and so are the guys behind him. So it's like nobody's willing to take the risk because what is there really to gain from it?
Yeah.
When in a playoff standpoint, anyway. So.
Yeah. I
gotta say it was pretty cool. And I'll get more into Stafford in a little bit, but it was pretty cool to hear them come on the PA system after the SK feature wrapped up to report on Ryan Preece because, of course, Stafford's one of the tracks where he cut his teeth.
Yeah.
And it was kind of neat to hear him and what's essentially his home track get shouted out on the PA, and everyone was stoked that he got second. Until he didn't. But
and he even mentioned in his post-race interview, he's like, you know, if I wasn't in Cup, I'd be at Stafford right now, and all that. And I mean, as a Preece guy, you know, I was on the edge of my seat those last couple laps, like. You just weren't sure who was going to win and what was going to happen. And again, I'm glad that there wasn't a big one. You know, I've seen enough of those. Don't need a million wreck cars. Not mad Cindric won. I kind of like Cindric, so and he's proven himself to be a great plate racer.
TV's Blippy.
TV's Blippy. I'm trying to think who else. They mentioned the Blippy comparison on Door Bumper Clear this week.
They did. Like, yeah, he really does. Huh?
Yep. But yeah, I mean, just not an amazing race. Wasn't very excited about it. Knew what I was getting into watching it, but kind of is what it is with these cars at the moment. So,
how was it on the ground, Truelove?
Yeah.
Quite the different experience from whatever y'all watched on TV. I'll just go through my day because there wasn't much racing involved.
Yeah.
I mean, we were there, we were in it, but I didn't see much of it until the end. But woke up hungover, realized pretty quickly trying to get dressed that my feet were not going to fit back in my cowboy boots. So I had brought a pair of tennis shoes, probably the only pair that I own. I was like, all right, I'll wear these today. I know I'm going to be walking a ton. It's the last day. Put the tennis shoes on, got my little socks on, I got my shorts on. I go sit outside the RV in the sunlight, wait for the boys to get ready. I look down at my legs and realize that I have a real nice bright red sunburn against my pale white skin in the shape of the two cowboy boots that I wore the day before. So nice little V right below my knee. I was like, cool. Now I gotta walk around like this all day.
I'll say what I said on the thread to the listeners here. I said to them that Truelove is now running a Wood Brothers throwback scheme on her body. Mm-hmm. And in the photo that she sent us, it was perfectly accurate, right down to the little splash of Quick Lane blue on the socks. It was wotherful.
Yeah.
How's that sunburn treating you, bud?
It's still
persistent.
Worse, but splotchy. Still got the cowboy boot outline going. I've got a giant bruise on my left knee that I got Saturday night somehow. It's rough. It's looking rough. Probably can't wear shorts the rest of the year. Summer hasn't even hit yet.
It's not even May yet.
No. Yeah.
Incredible.
So yeah, I chugged a Bloody Mary first thing that day.
Yes.
We walked down to the garage at 12:30. We went straight to the 48 hauler to see how those boys were holding up. They were pretty good. I mean, they're professional athletes. They're in shape.
And they got IV drips too.
Yeah. So they were there. They were fine. One of the guys had completely lost his voice though, which was funny. We kind of swapped some Boulevard stories to fill in some gaps for some folks, but the first thing I saw, they walked into the garage, we passed by Cole Custer, who was walking alone down some random alley, stuffing his face full of what looked like Brussels sprouts to me. So that was a good way to start things off. Well, I walked down pit road to look at the cars. Saw Suarez's little frosty car in person. That was a good-looking, swirly, hot mess. Ran into Dale Tanhart for a minute, talked to him. He was wearing a Budweiser coat. It was 80 degrees outside. Just bold choice.
Yeah, you make a character, you got to stick with it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Tough break, kid.
We found another one of the 48 guys on pit road next to the car. He had the toolbox lid open and he was hiding his head under it, laying down, using it as shade, which was hilarious. I think he might have been suffering the worst. Went into Big Bill's for a hot dog and cheap beer. And the one thing I'll say about Big Bill's is it amazes me how many people choose to stay inside there and watch the entire race.
Like on TV, right?
Yeah, on the big TV.
Well, it's like if you don't have seats, I guess you're probably I'm assuming it's air conditioning in there. Like, I don't know if you're there to experience the Boulevard and don't care as much about watching the race. I mean,
that's fair, but I guess it's just not my cup of tea. But
yeah,
we stood on pit road for the prayer and the anthem. So the coolest part about that for me was getting to see that big rig rip around the track with that American flag standing inside of it right there on pit road and looking out, and there's Jeff Gordon lined up with the 48 guys to my right, and the whole experience was pretty surreal.
That's awesome.
Then they had Davey Allison's son Robbie drive Bobby Allison's number 12 Coca-Cola car around the track for one last
they didn't mention that part. They showed the car on TV, but they didn't mention Robbie was driving it. So
yeah. Also, while we were standing there, Briscoe was the car in front of us, so Joe Gibbs was talking to him the whole time, probably trying to sell him his book or something. And Steve Phelps was hanging around talking to Briscoe and Bubba behind us. Let's see. We went and stood down next to the 48 pit box we were just going to stand there until the first pit stop, and they were getting ready to pit, and then that first accident happened, and kind of all hell broke loose because Brad was pitted 2 stalls ahead of them, so he pulled in and dumped a bunch of shit all in their area and came to a stop a stall before he even got to his box. And Alex actually got tagged in that wreck too, on his left door. So when he finally came in, he had a long 2-minute stop of them jumping over trying to fix that.
Made those poor dudes go to work.
Yeah. And even before that, when they were getting ready just to do their normal 8-second pit stop, I could tell they were just pouring sweat in those fire suits,
trying to find focus.
Yes. So after that, we decided we were going to head out to the grandstand. So walked back through to grab a couple cheap hot dogs to take them with us out to the grandstand so we didn't have to stand in those lines or pay those prices. Walked up to the counter. There's a TV next to it. And as soon as I get up to the lady to order my food, that big crash with Bell happens, and I see him smash the wall right behind this lady's head, and I go, "Oh my God!" And she's like, What happened? Is everything okay?" It's yeah, everything's good. Can I just get a couple hot dogs?
Anyway.
We had to walk all the way back to the RV, though, to get our coolers, because you can't bring coolers in big bills.
And
Hopped on the tram, and then the tram drops you off at the end of turn 4. Our seats were all the way down at the start-finish line. So
Jesus.
that walk took probably the majority of stage 2. And my little feet were so fucking over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we finally made it to our seats. So Mike had bought those tickets, and he picked out some great seats. They were right past the start-finish line. They were up just far enough to where we got the shade off the suites that were behind us.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
And I saw later on social media that Kenny Wallace was actually sitting in the suite behind us.
Damn.
I wish I knew in the moment. When we sat down, the first thing that I noticed was at the very bottom front row was a man who was shirtless, wearing a helmet that had a 3 on the side of it. Kind of looked like a bicycle helmet, sort of, but...
Yeah.
And he was whipping his t-shirt around his head, and he was doing that every single lap. And I saw that Kenny had posted him on his Twitter.
Yeah.
But by the end of the race, that man had put his shirt back on, still had his helmet on, and I noticed he had his head leaned down on the rail in front of him, passed the fuck out. They had to wake him up at the end of the race to leave.
But at least he had the helmet on so he didn't get a concussion.
Yeah. I wanted so bad to like get a video or a picture of that guy, but 2 rows in front of me, there was a child who I would say was probably maybe around 8. His parents were not sitting with him. His parents were sitting the row in front of him and like way to the right. So he was completely unsupervised. He had found some random seat between 2 men who were clearly not his father, who were also annoyed by him.
Yeah.
And so those laps are so long, it takes those cars forever to get back around. But when the cars would get over to the front stretch where we could see him, this kid would stand up in his chair, get out his little iPhone, and record the entire lap until they got all the way around to turn 2. And then he would sit down, and then the next lap, when he could see him again, he would stand in his chair and record them all the way around till turn. He did that for 188 laps. That kid has at least 188 of the same videos on his little iPhone.
As good as Fox's coverage.
God, can you sit the fuck down?
Sit down.
I was so annoyed with this kid. And then I noticed to my left, Mike's sitting to my left, and then to maybe like a seat or 2 down from Mike is this grown man in a Larson shirt who is also recording on his phone. And he must have recorded probably 20 minutes straight video on his iPhone, but he wasn't recording the race. He was just zoomed in on the like jumbo TV screen, recording that. I was like, why come to a race and not watch any of it? You're basically just staring through your iPhone at the Jumbotron the whole time.
That reminds me of that story that Kyle told on the Eldora episode about that lady filming Scott Bloomquist's funeral on the big screen at Eldora. the one that was professionally filmed and streamed by Flow Racing. But she just drained her phone battery filming the screen of what was directly in front of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are...
So, I didn't understand either one of those people, but I was annoyed. But yeah, the race was fine. I mean, those cars go by so fast, you only see them for a few seconds right in front of you because that place is so massive that, it's hard to really get a good look of much. But the finish was just a wet fart finish. Like, I was expecting something to happen, at least a move or a little bumping and banging. Like, I kind of expected Larson to get Cindric sideways, and Cindric and Priest would wreck out, and Larson would, squeak by. But I don't think anyone in our section even realized the race had ended, because they were dead silent, still watching the cars go around turns 1 and 2. Like, I guess they didn't think it was over because nothing had happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just kind of meh. But the seats were good for the fact that when Austin did his little burnout, it was directly in front of us, and then he parked straight in front of us when he climbed out and did his little roof pounding whatever, and then went and tackled
flippy dance.
his flippy dance, and then went and picked up Regan Smith and spun him around and did a bunch of screaming. I felt bad because Cindric was so pumped up and so excited, and he was trying to get the crowd to like cheer and go crazy, and that whole section we were sitting in were like polite clapping, like, all right. Cool for you, I guess. But
Yeah, like two of the most popular drivers in the sport and probably the biggest underdog out there. Almost won.
yeah.
Instead it was Tim Cindric's son.
Yeah. Yeah. And all those drunk people want to see crashes. Most of them do. So
Yeah.
when nothing happened. But
Well,
so, yeah. That was my Sunday.
So
we
it
went back to the
goes.
Boulevard.
yeah. So what's it like on Sundays? Does the party continue? Is everybody already kind of...
It is sad. We got dropped off after the race on the tram at the end of the Boulevard. We're like, well, we'll just walk down and check it out. It's like a weird, like, post-apocalyptic, everyone is kind of in zombie mode. Like, there's just trash everywhere. Like, half the RVs are starting to pack up and leave. Like,
Yeah.
there's only like a few people like meandering around. Like, it was weird. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Yeah. There's we walked by one setup that was like David Allen Coe themed, and there was a foosball table that they had, and it was just like broken into a million pieces. Just landmines of beer cans everywhere. The Cletus camp, like, he had auctioned off those RVs, so Biffles and the other one were already gone. It was just Cletus's there waiting for the guy that bought it to, I guess, come pick it up.
I guess that one broke down on the way home almost immediately. Did you hear about that?
I did not, but go figure. The Kyle Busch douchebag guy, though, still holding strong.
Good for him.
Sitting at his little tent.
Steadfast. That's awesome.
Yeah. There was a couple drunk bros trying to flip a golf cart. There was one random guy doing, like, rodeo rope tricks by himself. I had a couple people come up and ask me about my sunburn on my legs. So, just sad, weird, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of how the X lot is too. Like, it's wild for 3 days, and then the race is over, and then like all the air is let out of the balloon, and it's just everyone like kind of coming back into being people, or they're too drunk or sunburned to figure it out. Yeah, it's a surreal feeling for sure. I imagine it's tenfold at Talladega.
Yeah, they had another parade for the haulers leaving, so we watched that, and they were like, okay, we're going to do one more lap down the boulevard now that it's dark. Like, maybe something's happening now that the sun's gone down. And no, not so much.
Yeah.
It was mostly packed up by then.
Damn.
Our buddy Ross did come meet up with us. He's one of Andy Newsom's best friends.
Nice.
And he was telling us how when they were walking down to come meet us, that school bus that I mentioned on the first day that had the guy sawing out a big hole in the side of it.
Yeah.
Apparently, they were packing up to leave and dumped out a bunch of shit next to their campsite, including some of the old bus seats that were inside of it. Lit it on fire. It was a massive, massive bonfire, and just like peeled out of the parking lot and left it behind. And it almost caught the RV next to him on fire. I guess some cops saw him and like followed him out, but they had to get the fire trucks in there and like put it out. So
That's insane.
yeah.
Why? Why?
Yeah. Why? I don't know. Oh, one more thing. Our last lap down the boulevard, the very first person that we saw on the boulevard was the man. I noticed him standing alone at the end, talking on his cell phone, and just kind of pacing around. And when we got up next to him, all I heard him say on the phone, he was yelling, "I only want to be with you, baby. Please, baby. Don't do this."
Oh, no.
He was going through it, so I don't know what he did
Yeah. Well,
over the weekend, but
pick anything that we've heard about in the past hour. I'm sure it was along those lines.
yeah. So yeah, there's only really like one party left on the boulevard, and it was sad. There was like a guy in a Jesus costume and a Santa costume and a wrestling costume dancing, and a couple should have been DUIs on golf carts, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
Well.
We had enough. We went back to the RV
Nice.
because we had to leave at 8:30 in the morning to take Mike back to the airport. So,
Oh, God.
yeah,
That's tough sledding right there.
it was tough.
Well, I have one more question, and this does lead into our DAR for the week before we get out of the Talladega talk here. As I mentioned on the show before, I'm a member of a bunch of NASCAR camping groups and the Talladega one. And there was
That one's great.
there was a post about the shower situation and the bathroom situation down in the infield being pretty gnarly. Did you experience any of that, Truelove?
I didn't go to the shower, so
Probably for the
Steve's
best.
RV had a shower in it, but it was one of those deals where like it was limited water, so we could use it long enough to, wash away our sins from the night before.
You got
and
30
get the day
seconds in the
started.
cold, pretty much.
Yeah, which that was fine. That was enough for me to, get my life together for a second.
Nice.
I
Well,
think my brother walked down to the showers at one point because we had temporarily ran out of water. And he said they were nice. The one that he went to, he said was nice. It was just really tiny.
yeah.
Now, there is another permanently built shower house in the infield that's huge, but we didn't go in that one.
Well, I think this is the one our DAR for the week is talking about. Again, there was a post on this Talladega camping Facebook group about the conditions of the bathrooms and of the showers. And
Now, the bathrooms, that's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Boulevard. What do you expect?
Yeah.
But Phil Annette says, in all caps, the NASCAR track services continue to decline and the prices keep going up. This is our last year. I'd rather give my money to youth sports and be treated with greater appreciation. So,
Go ahead.
it's fair to, be annoyed about having to pay more and getting less. But are you taking showers at like youth baseball games? Like, I don't think this is an A-B comparison or 1-to-1 here. So, my sentence. This guy's already given it to himself. Just stay home. Stay away from the showers, please.
No, my sentence is you have to bathe yourself with the water from the porta potties. So that's no death, but that's what you have to do.
Close enough.
Yeah. My biggest complaint from the weekend was definitely there's not enough toilets for how many drunk people there are. They don't set up like public porta potties. Now you can rent private porta potties to put on your lot,
But they don't have them set up.
which is what most people do, but they don't have like public porta potties. You have to walk to the brick and mortar bathrooms, which are pretty far spaced out.
No shit.
And then when you get inside of those, they're so humid and steamy.
Yeah.
And everyone there just uses them to take shits in. So it's just this. Oh, it's
a thick air.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's thick. That's good. It's thick.
Yeah. So maybe Phil has
so
a
by the
little
end of the
bit
weekend,
of a point.
Yeah, there's no toilet paper and it's bad. But the track services are good. I mean, most of the people that camp in there are in RVs, so they have a list that they give you that you can call anytime, and they'll come around and, you know, pump out your sewage from your RV. They'll come and fill up your water tanks. Like, they've got ice trucks driving around, so everything's, you know, readily available.
Yeah.
Just so.
Yeah. Honorable mention for Jar for the Week is all the people that came up to Kyle Armstrong at the Simpson trailer at the dirt track asking if Larson was there. Which, he was not. So,
Kyle just made a sign.
a quick Google would tell you that
Yeah.
Kyle
right, well.
Larson's not there.
Truelove, you have successfully convinced me to never, ever camp out at Talladega. Thank you for that.
Well, I'll see you next year.
I'm good. Well, two different ends of the spectrum there.
Like I said, I do want to experience this once. And, you know, it's funny, like,
I think everyone should experience it once.
yeah. Again, I've had a little bit of training at the X lot, which I refer to as Yankee Talladega, but this just sounds like times 10. So I would like to experience it.
You should.
All right, we've already been going for almost 2 hours, so I'm going to fire through
Sorry,
these
I
notes
knew that
real
was going
quick.
to take a while.
Yeah.
I rambled way too much.
During all the press stuff before the races over the weekend, Justin Haley informed the press corps that he lost his dad privileges with Michael McDowell.
Yep.
Apparently, when he started driving for Spire, he called Michael Dad, and Michael thought that was weird and didn't like it. And I'm assuming there was a PR meeting about that, or HR meeting rather.
Making the Bible study awkward.
Yes. Speaking of Spire, Rodney Childers.
Speaking of guys who can't call Michael McDowell dad anymore.
Rodney Childers is out at Spire. Don't know what happened there, but it just seems like it wasn't working out. Everybody seems to be okay with him leaving, including Rodney, so it is what it is. Who knows if he'll end up at another team or somewhere else in NASCAR, but I'm sure he'll find himself somewhere.
And that was the big crew chief news we were alluding to last week.
Yes,
If you hadn't figured that out.
I'm going to start breaking this news whether people like it or not, so don't tell us anything unless you want it told. So there was a little bit of talk about the NASCAR telling teams to run what you brung at the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro, and the teams apparently turned that down. There's different... people feel different ways about this. It seems like all the teams weren't into it. Denny Hamlin said he'd basically have to ruin a car for each one of his cars to do this. Meanwhile, the NASCAR Propaganda podcast said it wouldn't have cost teams anything because NASCAR apparently wasn't going to let them do much of anything with the car anyways. So it all seems like a bunch of hyped up bullshit that will lead to nothing.
Yeah. Can you imagine one of those cars out there with the big old fucking sail panel? And like just skewed and
yeah, I don't know.
Amazing.
I'm so tired of talking about this car sucking, but we're gonna keep continuing to do that because nobody's doing anything about it. Let's see, the Daytona Beach Applebee's, RIP. It has closed apparently. I never experienced it. Now I never will. So that's a shame.
Well, we go to
Probably
Applebee's
gonna be
every
at
week.
Chili's.
Yeah, we'll see you at Chili's. Riding the dente.
The Indy Open test, which started last week, both Kyle Larson and Takuma Sato ended up crashing. Both were fine.
Yeah, Sato's wreck was pretty bad. He tore that car up pretty severely. I think Larson's is fixable from what I gather, but fortunately it's still April, and they got plenty of time to get that sorted out. And Larson actually said in the media that he's glad he finally got his first big wreck at Indy out of the way, because there's an old adage that we've been hearing for years about drivers at Indy, and there's two types. There's guys who have wrecked at Indy and guys who haven't yet. So Kyle was happy to join the club, so he's got that out of the way, and hopefully things go well for the rest of the month for him and Taku as well.
And our buddy Jay Pennell ended up competing in the 24 Hours of Lemons at, what the hell's CMP?
Carolina Motorsports Park. I think
Okay,
they
that
clocked
makes
in at about 28 hours. I know they had to change an engine, but they hustled through that, and they actually did get credited with the finish. I'm not sure where they finished on the board, but if you guys don't know what the 24 Hours of Lemons is, it's an event where there's a price limitation on the car you can bring.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, a couple $1,000, maybe something like that. And you, again, actually run what you brung under a certain amount. They happen all over the place, and it looks like a super, super fun event. In fact, Greg Biffle was, when he was on Dale Jr.'s podcast, was talking about how much fun that was and how it was the most pure driving he's gotten a chance to do in many years. So definitely a cool event, and I'm stoked for Jay to get out there and get some laps in and get the full 24-hour experience.
Yep.
Also, happy birthday, Jay. It's his birthday.
That's right. It is Jay's birthday.
Yep, happy birthday. We already covered Dart for the week. My cat is clawing at my foot right now, if you can hear that. And let's see, we're going to dive into the septic tank now. I didn't watch a goddamn second of anything aside from the Fonda Speedway opener last week on, I think it was a Wednesday, and Stuart Friesen, of course, won. So that was very disappointing. So,
Wasn't bitching about that one.
so Rob, take it away.
All right, well, I guess I'll start off with my racetrack experience for the weekend. Last week on the show, I said I was probably not going to go to the Stafford Spring Sizzler. I just wasn't going to work out my schedule. But as schedules do, they changed. The Saturday portion got completely rained out, and they moved everything to Sunday. And my wife's plans also got changed, so she was going to be out of the house. So I'm not going to see her by myself or do yard work for the third week in a row. So fuck that. I decided to go to Stafford. They did put the entire program on Sunday, so that was 6 divisions of cars out there, which is a lot. I think there was over 150 cars on the property, which is badass. And it took fucking forever. It felt like it was in the South at a cars race or something. It took forever, dude. And it was supposed to be a perfectly clear day. Unfortunately, New England spring weather did come in. It was a weird combination of like 45 degrees and 65 degrees with a persistent mist, which was just is ever present. Yeah, it was always misting. They never really stopped the show for too long because of it. I think there were a couple breaks because the rain got a little too heavy and they had to make sure that no one was going to die out there. But believe me, the drivers in every division did a good job of trying to kill themselves on their own. It was an absolute bloodbath the whole weekend. The SK Lights are always a violent show. I don't even know who won any of it, but we definitely got to see a few people who are going to be making calls to SRI to order some new parts coming up, because there was some. I've never seen so many like hooks into the front stretch there, where cars just completely get torn up. Than I have this past weekend. A combination of a cold track, perhaps a wet track, and of course just a lot of aggression and a program that people were trying to get moved along pretty quickly. The SK Mods, of course, the flagship division of that track. I want to give a shout out to Danny Knoll Jr. He's a longtime racer there. He had a particularly bad crash in, I think it was the LCQ for the SKs. It might have been one of the heats, but I think it was the LCQ. Some guys got loose on the front stretch on a restart, and he got hooked head on into the fence hard enough to like whip the car around and hit the left rear, which is the most square portion of a modified, and he got banged up pretty bad. I think he broke a couple vertebrae. They did not show it on the Flow broadcast, but they had to cut him out of the car and put him on a backboard and bring him out on the ambulance. It was pretty somber, and it kind of summed up the mood of the whole day. Just tons of wrecks, tons of carnage. The SK feature, though, when it wasn't a bloodbath, was actually fucking awesome. It did take about an hour and a half to get 40 laps in, which that's just too much for me. But when they were racing, it was awesome. Mikey Christopher and John Puello, put on a great show, trading the lead. Todd Owen was up in the mix as well. So much going on within 40 laps. Ultimately, Puello ended up picking up the win there. He's been dominating at Stafford, and it looks like he's going to continue his winning ways at Thompson. He's going to continue his winning ways over at Stafford as well in the Mr. Rooter machine. He's super fast right now. But it was cool to see Mikey lead a bunch of laps. I'm a big Mike Christopher fan, and the guy I ended up sitting next to also was, so we kind of bonded over that.
Nice.
Shout out to Johnny Sandberg in the SKs for getting the car fired up after he spun out and not holding up the show again. He brought the caution count down from like 51 to 50, and anybody who is willing to just get the show on and not sit there and wait for the yellow to come out gets an attaboy. So thank you very much for your your service, Johnny. I really appreciate that. So the Sizzler was supposed to start around 5:30. But because of the weather and just the persistent crashing, it didn't really get kicked off till about 6:50, 6:55. I had a hard cutoff of getting out of there of about 7:15, which was like, great, they're green, I'm going to see 10 laps. And I was like, all right, well, we'll see how far they get into it. You know, these guys usually run pretty clean. And of course, there was a wreck on like lap 6. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm out of here. I'm not going to see the finish of this race anyway. I'm leaving. So I hopped in the Jeep and got home. Fortunately, we live in the future, and I was able to listen to the broadcast on my phone as I was driving home. I live about an hour away from Stafford, so it's not a long haul. But just to tell you how this race went, I got home to Worcester, hopped in the McDonald's drive-thru, was in there about 10 minutes because that's just how it goes around here. Got home, and there's still about 30 laps left and then on the lap feature. So I didn't miss much of anything, I guess. Pretty decent race. Steven Kopchik picked up the win there. Woody Pitcat had a real rough day. Not making any friends out there by any means. But, you know, Woody's a legend, and everybody has an off night. Definitely had the prettiest car of the weekend, though. But congrats to Steven. Mike Christopher led some laps in that one as well. And from what I gather from listening to it and what I saw at home, it was a pretty good show. Anthony Nocella was kind of charging up towards the front at the end, and we did see a good Sizzler despite all of the carnage. And there were still like 3 more divisions to go after that. I don't know what the fuck happened. I turned my TV off or switched over to the late models or something. I do want to give a shout out to somebody who got kind of wronged on the broadcast. So a lot of racetracks have big features. You can sponsor a lap. So like lap 47 is brought to you by the Meet Me at Applebee's podcast, blah, 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 whatever. And they'll announce these during caution periods or whenever there's a lull in action, when you could actually hear it on the track PA and on the broadcast. And they got to this poor guy, lap number 42. The guy's name is William J. Hillier Jr., and it was supposed to be in memory of William J. Hillier Jr. And I'm driving. I've got my radio up. I'm listening to the race, and I hear Ben Dodge say, lap 42, in memory of William J. Hitler. And he kind of pauses. Jr. Paid for by William J. Hitler Sr. I think he said it twice. And I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way that's what it is. So I literally pulled out my phone as I was driving home, and like probably the craziest wind I've ever seen on 84. Like just getting my whipped around, and like the hood of my Jeep was bouncing because it was so windy, and just typed in William J. Hitler into my notes so I could remember to look this up. So it's actually Hiller. Again, I'll fix it, lap 42, in memory of William J. Hiller Jr., paid for by his dad, William J. Sr. So, yeah, that was unfortunate. I didn't watch any of the cars race, but local hero Luke Baldwin picked up a pro late model win, which is pretty cool. Jared Fryer won the late model stock race over Cade Brown. I guess Cade led most of the laps in that one and kind of lost out in the end. As far as your NASCAR stars running in the Cars Tour go, Lane Riggs picked up a 4th place, and then Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, picked up 14th in that race.
Nice.
Truelove was supposed to go to the World of Outlaw late models at Talladega, but as we all know, she went and saw Justin Moore instead. To put it lightly.
Trying to get myself killed at a Justin Moore concert.
As we already talked about, the rain killed the Friday portion of the show, but they ran Saturday. As I predicted, a lot of Southern drivers, Hunt the Front guys, and other locals showed up, and they all really put on a pretty good showing against the regular full-time Outlaws. Greg Satterley was fast. I think he got a top 5 out of the deal, and there was a few others up there, particularly Zach Mitchell. He got a 2nd in the feature. Bobby Pierce absolutely fucking walked him, though. And Jimmy Owens also got a 3rd place finish, so that was cool to see. As already mentioned, this is the first weekend of Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer sponsoring the tour, and they have there's been a lot of updates regarding that. Of course, there's signage everywhere. The beer's available at the track, which apparently they sold out of, which, of course, is probably the only beer you can buy.
Probably.
It's a scarcity capitalism right there.
Yeah, they kept advertising that the guy that does his videos, that it's like, he says some stupid shit and he's like, be a man. He was there.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Doing autographs.
That guy's funny, but he was definitely there. But yeah, the race itself kind of felt like Stafford, but for different reasons. It just took fucking forever to get this show in. They kept reworking the track when we all knew it was going to rubber up and Bobby Pierce was going to win. But they did that. But I almost forgot to mention this. Lots of activation for the new sponsorship, including updating the song for the Four Wide Salute to that Real American song that Hulk Hogan was related with back in the 80s. It does not slap as hard as it did when we were kids, I can tell you that much. And I just kind of laughed as I watched it. The rest of the late model world was up in... up towards my way, actually, down in Pennsylvania and parts close by. Thursday night, they were at Georgetown. This is the race of the week right here. Devin Moran and RTJ put on an absolute fucking thriller. Moran won by 7/100ths of a second over RTJ, Ricky Thornton Jr. That was fucking killer. I'm sure I'll grab the video and we'll post that because that finish was amazing. Friday night was in Hagerstown. RTJ won that one over Garrett Albertson and Dalton Wilson. Also, shout out to Greg Satterley. Sorry, I mentioned him in the southern portion. I was thinking of Sam Seawright over there. But Greg Satterley is a Pennsylvania guy. Doesn't really do the tour all that often, but anytime they go up towards Pennsylvania in the north, he usually shows up and is fast. He picked up fourth in that race, so shout out to him. I was on Saturday night, excuse me. And then Sunday night, they were at Port Royal, and Ricky Thornton won that one as well over Jonathan Davenport and Devin Moran. And Greg Satterley picking up another top five. Your points right now, Ricky Thornton is up the top of the board. Devin Moran and Jonathan Davenport, no big surprises there for your top three. Garrett Albertson and Brandon Overton are your top five. Of course, Lucas Oil picks four guys for a sort of playoff run at the end, where the points, it's like the old chase kind of. They reset everybody, and whoever comes out at the top of that is your champion. No surprises for the top three, but Garrett Albertson having a career year this year, and Brandon Overton in the Longhorn Factory car also looking pretty strong. So, and there's a lot of guys a little bit lower that have a chance to get to that level too. So we're in for quite a show with the Lucas Tour this year. Over at World of Outlaws, they were all over the place this weekend as well. Up at Jacksonville Speedway, Kyle Larson actually moonlit over there in the Paul Silva 57 and put on an absolute fucking clinic. Started sixth, worked his way up to the front, and then just cut traffic like a monster. It's his third Outlaw win of the year.
Not at Talladega.
Not at Talladega. And the people rejoiced. Saturday night, they were at Hobstadt and Sheldon Hodenshield. Got the pole out of the draw, and then ended up winning the race. David Gravel's still on top of the points, with Logan Schuchart having a good year, about 72 points back. Gravel been struggling a little bit, so I'm curious to see if they're able to sort of retain some of that magic they had at the beginning of the year. But I guess we'll see. I think we're in for a fight with the Shark Racing guys and the big game dudes. Speaking of Shark Racing, Ashton Torgerson hopped in the 1A for the first and second time over the weekend and actually picked up a win at BAPS. That's a big deal. Again, if you remember correctly, Cale Thomas absolutely wrecked the dog shit out of all of their cars when he was driving and got fired. And then Ashton came in and was taking a lot of shit for being a pay driver. Of course, that's the kid who forgot to tighten his belt at the Chili Bowl and ended up on the racetrack without his race car. But apparently he's tightened things up a little bit, figuratively and literally, and he picked up a win there. Danny Dietrich, who of course I sang his praises last week for helping a guy out of a burning car, reminded everybody why they think he's a fucking frustrating dickhead by talking shit about how they're cheating with their wings and all that on Twitter. And the Allen family's had some pretty good clapbacks to that. So if you want some dirt track drama, go check that out on Twitter. That's where it lives. There's a shit ton of racing coming up this weekend. Sprint cars, late models, everything. High Limit, of course, they're at Texas Motor Speedway for Thursday and Saturday night shows. Christopher Bell's going to be running the Creeds 96K with a beautiful Interstate Batteries wrap on Thursday night, but as we all know, he doesn't run Saturdays anymore, so I don't know who's going to be in the car for that one. Other NASCAR guys, of course, Kyle Larson running for Paul Silva, and then Corey Day is going to be in the 14 BC for that one. Ricky Stenhouse was supposed to run the High Limit show that was going to be happening as we're recording this, but that got rained out. That was at Texarkana, but unfortunately that's not happening anymore. World of Outlaw sprints are at Eldora for Let's Race 2. It's a doubleheader with USAC. That's always a good show. Lucas Oil late models are at Circuit City. Circle City. if there was a Circuit City, maybe they'd be there, but they'll be at Circle City in Florence. The World of Outlaw Real American Beer Late Model Tours got a 3-night stand at Mississippi Thunder, so you get to hear that stupid Hulk Hogan song 3 times coming up this weekend. Hunt the Fronts at Livonia and Cherokee, the place your mama warned you about. Cars Tours got 2 nights. Livonia. I can't say it right. I'm a fucking Yankee these days.
It's supposed to be raining here this weekend, so that might not happen.
That sounds pretty common for a lot of these places, unfortunately. Cars Tours got 2 nights at Ace Speedway coming up here. That's a fun little racetrack. American Canadian Tours at Thunder Road. And if I can swing it, I'll be heading up to Monadnock, my favorite short track in New England, on Saturday for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because I got some studio shit happening, but again, it's pretty far up there in New Hampshire, or from where I live anyway. It's about 2 hours from where I'll be, so we'll see if I can make it, but I've said that for the past 3 weeks, and god damn it, I end up at the racetrack every time, so I'll see you at Monadnock on Saturday. And I guess that's the septic tank for you this week. Again, it was a good one. I don't remember a lot of it for some reason. I was pretty sober this weekend, but I feel like maybe I picked up some of Truelove's condition through osmosis. So, but we'll go ahead and flush this thing down.
The wealth.
And again, shout out to William J. Hillier Jr.
R.I.P.
Now it's on to our video of the week, which is it's a wholesome one.
It's an awful
Yeah,
one.
that's the word for it.
So yeah, the epic NASCAR vacation from Trying Something New, the YouTube channel. So yeah, this just came across my feed accidentally, and I see some. It came off my feed looking for shit. Well, I posted this in the Discord I'm in, and somebody else said the same thing. They'd seen this pink mohawked woman in their feed at some point too. So I don't know. I don't know anything about this family. I tried looking them up a little bit. They seem to have a bunch of 1 million followers on TikTok, and I don't know. The mom's like some sort of fitness model or something, but these people just seem insufferable. I think they live in this RV and they just travel around doing stuff, which seems fun enough, but if everything is epic and they're just these overly positive people and they're just fucking annoying, I would not want to be around these people.
Oh God, no. They seem like they're really they seem like they're really
not.
They probably met at a Big D in the kids table show 20 years ago or something. Very ska vibes coming
Yeah,
from
the
this
dad's got a pork pie hat on or whatever, and he's covered in tattoos.
The second I saw that pork pie hat, I was like, fuck this video.
I thought Titus was really funny back in the day.
Hey, Titus was funny. Leave Titus alone.
Titus was funny.
Was it?
Titus was a good show. Don't. Stacy Keach was amazing on that show. Don't even fucking start with me.
The
on
only
Titus.
reason I make the connection is because there was a ska band in Albuquerque where I'm from, and their whole claim to fame and how they became a band was this guy tried to write the theme song for Titus, and it got rejected. But he liked ska so much after making that one song, because it was the late 90s, early 2000s when people cared about ska, and they became a band. And they were around for a really long time, and they never stopped playing the fake Titus theme song. And he also looked kind of like this guy, so I think that's where the connections come from.
So
I
yeah,
need to
the
revisit
mom.
that show. Maybe it didn't hold up well. I don't know.
Nah, I'm sure it's still good. But yeah, also didn't even mention the mom has her fucking forehead bedazzled. She's got
I couldn't focus on anything that lady was saying besides those bedazzled.
It was just a lot of oh, this is epic, this is amazing, love the energy, blah blah blah, just all this shit throughout this entire video. They filmed this at the Pocono doubleheader in 2021. Apparently this is their first race, which they have 3 or 4 different videos from different racetracks on their channel that I looked. So
yeah, but apparently, from what I gather, they had gone to the racetracks, but they had never actually seen a race. They'd been to Daytona, they had been to Charlotte, and they did ride-alongs and drove the RV on the track. And I think this is around the time that NASCAR was trying to court influencers.
Yeah, because we see later on that Andrew from Dirty Mo Media interviews them and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. They're just walking around and saying how cool everything is, and
As soon as that dude said "holy crapoli," I was like, I want to turn this off.
Yeah, there's the ska right
it was
there.
only 50. You wanted a short one. I picked a short one for you. Clearly, they definitely have some effort behind this because, I mean, for as bad as the video was, it was produced very well. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're an influencer, I guess you put the time and effort into making your videos clean.
Yeah. The kids are definitely sitting around in the RV while mom and dad edit the video, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
I was wondering who was watching the kids most of the time.
well,
They left them at the child care center.
Yeah, there's like they talk about all the family stuff going on at the track and like the kids are doing arts and crafts. There's a reptile guy at the track. Mom's doing the paint and sip thing. Apparently they have that, which I didn't know that's a thing at a racetrack. But I mean, I guess, bored wives when their husbands are getting shithoused in the infield, gotta do something with their time.
No shit.
There's somebody, again, since they're influencers, somebody from NASCAR gives them a trunk full of NASCAR shit. The mom's just wearing a tank top that just says NASCAR on it. Apparently their kids were talking to William Byron online, which that's a weird sentence to say, but apparently they interviewed William Byron online.
If you don't watch the video, it sounds way worse.
Yeah.
Which none of you will, so yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, don't. You can tell we're rookies because we didn't know what to expect. I'm assuming they said that because they got like some of the shittiest tickets you can get. Like they were sitting right by the start-finish line, but like 8 rows from the track, which, I mean, granted at Pocono, even in the good seats, you can barely see anything. So like they probably just saw like 600 feet of the track the whole time. They're bothering different fans and families in the track with their influencer bullshit. You get a cameo from Timmy Hill, who the guy says, "Living the dream, huh?" And Timmy just kind of smiles and doesn't know what to say to the guy, which I'd probably react the same way.
Yeah, the guy's not aware of
signing autographs too.
Yeah,
you see Corey LaJoy and Ross Chastain and stuff. The dad, like goes to some camper that the guy has like alcohol soaked cherries, and the guy can barely eat the fucking thing.
He's like, "What, do you have alcohol in him?" And it's like, "What? Do you think this guy was just handing out maraschino cherries?"
Yeah, what?
Of course, there's booze in it.
Soaked in Sprite. Like what?
There's some fucking guy dressed up like Santa, and again, this is June at Pocono, and it's like, why are you doing this? Like.
Well, it was the post-COVID thing. I think you got to remember that. That was when fans are starting to come back. And his whole thing was, we're trying to have Christmas with everybody, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's corny, but whatever. I mean.
Again, this is why I don't camp out. They show some...
No one's making you go to the paint and sip.
As Rob said earlier this week, you hate fun, don't you? Yeah, I kind of do sometimes.
I did say
that. They show some concert at night, and who knows who the bands are. It's not Tim Duggar, but of course they're doing Wagon Wheel anyways.
Of course.
It's the law. Yeah.
We see Andrew from Dirty Mo interviewing them. God knows what that was all about. They were excited about the shitty carnival at the track. Like, all these people are just like hyping. Like, I don't even know. I think this is just influencer culture where everything seems cooler. They like to make things seem cooler than they actually are. And
they made it sound like the carnival was free, which would be pretty neat. I might ride a tilt-a-whirl if it was free. I'm not paying like $8 for it, but
Yeah. I would say probably the only funny moment in this entire video was after the second race when Kyle Busch won. They're sitting there looking at Kyle celebrating, and a guy in a Kyle Busch shirt just starts chanting "Kyle Busch won" while he's carrying a mannequin torso, just a torso.
Yeah.
And everybody was confused, which is fair. Why I don't know why you bring just a torso to a
the
race.
way
Doesn't
he
make
was
any
yelling
sense.
it was amazing too. Just Kyle Busch won, Kyle Busch won.
Yeah.
Like the town fucking crier or something.
Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about this. I'm disappointed in myself for picking this, but again, Truelove wanted a short video, and I haven't tortured you guys in a while, so I figured this was a perfect opportunity.
I mean, it was bad, but I gotta be honest. Like I said, it was a kind of wholesome. And the only reason I say that is because and it kind of worked out pretty well because I knew we were going to get a pretty gritty story out of Truelove this week from her experience at Talladega. And I know that vibe isn't for everybody at the racetrack. And NASCAR does do a lot to sort of bring families in and give them an alternative to, showing your butthole to strangers and all that. So it was kind of neat to see all the stuff, because I'm on Team Butthole whether I like it or not. So I'm never going to end up on that side of the racetrack ever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see what NASCAR and the family, how do you say their last name? Mattiolis? I can't remember how to pronounce it. It's a family-owned racetrack, and it was pretty cool to see how much effort they put into putting together stuff for the fans to do, because a lot of SMI tracks don't do nearly like half of what seemed to be in the Pocono infield. And again, I don't know what you got to pay to have that access. These guys are influencers, so they definitely got all of it for free. Who knows if that's something that everybody can do if you're camping down there. But it was kind of neat to see the other side of the coin and what the camping experience is if you got kids and if you're not trying to, see some buttholes, I guess.
There were still plenty of kids sprinkled throughout the Boulevard who should not have been there. His parents were just too shithoused to care.
Alabama daycare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll never watch any of their videos ever again. I did hate it. I don't want to be too positive here.
It's fine. You're more than fair to say you hated it.
But yeah, it was. I thought it was interesting, and again, it was well put together. So credit to them. They did the best they could with continuity, despite not knowing a goddamn thing they were looking at. But whatever.
Despite not liking it, it did breeze by fairly quickly.
It was 15 minutes. So
yeah. Well, for this coming week, video of the week, I've got 3. They're all short, so
6 hour long.
4 hours.
Listen, 3 videos is less than 25 minutes, so we're gonna deal with it. First one, we talk a lot about. Well, at least I do. Loving old broadcasts with commercials and stuff, and also just NASCAR commercials in general. I was looking for a little different commercial compilations or whatever, and I found one. A NASCAR commercial from every year between 2000 and 2018.
Nice.
It's only 8 minutes, and I picked this because there's definitely going to be some stuff that I kind of missed or forgot about because, at least this, from mid-2000s up until the early, 2010 and 2011, I was kind of out of racing, so there's probably going to be some that I didn't even see in this, so I figured that'd be a fun watch. Second one, since we're in Kansas this coming week, I was looking for different Kansas racing videos, and there's a track there that's been around for a while called 81 Speedway, and I found a nice fan cam video from 81 Speedway, sights and sounds from September 26th. I don't know what year because this video was posted 15 years ago, so I'm sure it's going to be good. And then also, because we are in Kansas, home of, technically the home of Wizard of Oz, I guess, or some of it. We got a 4-minute review of a 2004 Elliott Sadler pedigree / Wizard of Oz diecast.
There's the punishment.
Oh,
it's only 4 minutes, so it can't be that bad.
If you're wondering if the other 2 videos didn't sound autistic enough for you, we've certainly.
I had to get one in there. So,
it's been
and
a while.
I'm already gonna call it. For next. The week after this, we're just going to watch the first episode of the Netflix show. So we'll talk about that.
That's coming out. It's funny. I saw that on Netflix last night. My wife is out of town on a business trip right now, and so I got the house to myself. And I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself right now. So I opened Netflix up to see what was going on, and I saw the NASCAR thing. I was like, oh, this must be the new season. I didn't know when it was coming out, so I clicked it, and it took me 15 minutes to realize I'd already seen this before. So, I was like, God, this sucks. It's not any better than last season.
Well, it drops on May 7th, so that'll be just in time for us to talk about in 2 weeks. So
cool.
But yeah, videos of the week. And yeah, as mentioned, this weekend NASCAR and a bunch of other racing are in Texas. Rob, you're not going, I'm assuming, since I know you talked about it. And it's
No, it didn't come up. I mean, there's a very small chance that I could make a bad decision on a credit card if the studio stuff I have coming up falls through. But no, unfortunately, I'm not going to Texas. If I do go to the racetrack, it will be Monadnock. But
There you go.
gutted to not make it down there. And happy birthday, Alex, because that's the whole point of going down there. And sprint cars. But,
Yeah. So cool. As always, you can follow us on Instagram at meetmeatapplebees and on Twitter at meetmeatapplebees. I'm Speedway Screens on all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop. MMA Applebees for 15% off at checkout.
Still Snake Mountain _ Truelove.
/sunburn.geocities.com.
Yep. I still have stuff to stare at. Let me start that over. Instagram stories from Talladega to share that I didn't get around to yet. So
Nice.
at some point. But again, huge thank you to Mike and Steve. Steve killed it with the campsite and welcoming us into his RV and like hooking it up with the passes. Like, can't thank them enough for such a solid hang. And yeah, also sorry to the listeners that I rambled for so fucking long.
No, it's not so bad.
4 days.
4 days of notes to get through. It's all good. Well, I enjoyed hearing about it. I look forward to seeing some of the photos. That I'm sure the folks won't get to see these, but I want to see what you took after you checked out.
Yeah.
I want to see
I'll have to go revisit this.
the postmodern work of Ashley Truelove. RobMotes _unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains. We just announced a little European jaunt in July and the beginning of August. Us and Charlie Marie are going to be going over to Finland to play the Haywater Country Music Festival, which that's a made-up word that Finnish people think sounds country. But it's a good bill.
I went to AI.
Yeah, it sounds like AI came up with it. Haywater. My Uncle Lucius is playing, and I think I forget who else is on the bill, but that's going to be fun. And then 6 towns in Sweden that, aside from Stockholm, there's no chance in hell I can pronounce. But if you happen to be in Europe this summer, come check us out. Really excited for that. Also, like I said, we're playing at Faces Brewing. Not this Friday, but the Friday after next, which I believe is the 9th. That's going to be a good show. It's just Charlie Marie and us. So, yeah, we're starting to play a little bit. Feels good to get back out there, and hope to see some of y'all out there on the road, even though we're playing places that absolutely none of you live. But, yeah, looking forward to getting back to Europe and feeling really out of place. So.
We do
Cool.
have those stories.
Yeah.
With that, looks like our check is here. So thanks for joining us once again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to y'all next week.